Hey guys, so happy Tuesday, happy day 2. You have already exceeded most people if you're still here, because instead of making or having the idea to start or even making the decision to start, you've actually started. That's pretty cool. So you're already ahead of the game, right? All right, so how do we stay in the game? The number one thing, and this video, guys, is super important. These are some of the tools that will actually help you reach the goals that it is that you're looking for. So we're going to set a goal. And the reason, and before you do that, this is not exactly going to be your goal setting video, but I'm going to make this as quick as possible. This is like the 8th time I filmed this, but the number one reason that people don't join the group is fear of failure. Fear of failure. I'm not good enough. And that's actually, I've had most of you fill out a questionnaire, and the last question I ask is, what would keep you from actually joining this group? And what 99.9% of people say is fear of failure, fear of time commitment, which is fear of failure, fear of not being able to do it, fear that you've tried before and failed. So when I hear that, I say to people, like, just make the decision. If you fail, right? If you fail in the moment, most likely 50% of us, at least in this group, I hope not, but at some point you're going to look and be like, oh my God, I just ate a yellow container. I'm not supposed to be eating yellow containers. I failed. No, you just move on. So we're going to talk about this, right? I want you to set a goal. Big goal. I want to lose 40 pounds. But I don't want you to say, I'm hoping I'm going to lose 40 pounds. That's bullshit, right? And that's you copping out. If you say, I need to lose 40 pounds, I hope I'll lose 40 pounds, 50 pounds, 100 pounds. You're never going to do it. So you've already told yourself, like, oh, if I don't do it, it's okay. It's not okay. If that's what you want, live a life that you want. Make it happen. So take your big goal, write it down. Physically, get a pen and paper and write it down. When you don't put it in your phone. Don't think about it. You're going to type it out in the comments below, and then you're going to cut it in half. Maybe it's that you want to lose 40 pounds. I'm going to use that as an example. Okay. Now, instead of looking at the 40 pounds and saying, oh my God, that's so much. What happens is when we look at this, we say, I've tried this before and I failed. The two emotions that happen are vulnerability and insecurity, right? So instead, and I'm reading my notes, I apologize. So instead of saying like, okay, I'm here. I have to go here. There is a big gap. And that's what you focus on, is this massive gap, the 40 pounds, right? Now, if you focus on that massive gap, vulnerability and insecurity will overwhelm you. It will overwhelm you. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I'm not there yet. That becomes the focus, but I'm not there yet. But I'm not there yet. And then comparison sets in, etc., etc. So instead, we're going to, number one, is narrow our focus. So the reason why it's scary is because we have to confront something to change our behavior. And people hate change. And if you're like, no, Shana, I love change, bullshit. You haven't done it, whatever it is that you want to do yet, and that's why you haven't done it, because you have to make change, okay? Now, it's overwhelming to make change when you don't have a plan, so you're going to set a plan. These are the tools that you 100% need, I promise you. So, set that big, scary goal. Now, cut it in half. Before you lose 40 pounds, you have to lose 20 pounds. Right? You have to get really specific. And I'm going to go further. So continue to narrow your focus. You're going to have 3 more bullet points. Continue to narrow that focus. Okay, from that focus, right? From that 20 pounds, that's still a big gap. What else do you have to do? You have to lose 10 pounds first. Get even more narrow. I know I would usually say expand your box, expand your thinking, but instead we're narrowing, right? Because that gap is what's so scary and overwhelming. From 10 pounds, 5 pounds. Okay, narrow that gap. Boom, 5 pounds before you lose 40 pounds. Don't worry about the 40. That will come with planning and prepping and day-to-day actions. And that's where the compound effect comes in, of course. So we're going to use 2 different things, compound effect and the 5-second rule. And then plus we're going to talk about assessment and what we learned yesterday. So you have now said, okay, cut it in half, cut it in half, cut it in half, 5 pounds. I've focused on 5 pounds. Could you lose 5 pounds in 3 weeks? Yeah, I could, but if I don't, it's okay. Stop. If you want to lose 5 pounds in 3 weeks, write down that goal. But Shayna, what if I don't reach that goal? You tell me. Will your life end? Do you suck at life? Would you say, Shayna, you suck at life because you didn't lose 5 pounds in 3 weeks? That's ridiculous. So if you wouldn't talk to your kid that way, if you wouldn't talk to your friend that way, right? Hopefully you wouldn't talk to your spouse or anyone else that way. You're going to say, okay, then I'll just reassess once I get there. If I didn't make it, that's okay. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to keep working though. I'm not going to quit because I'm not a quitter. And it's not failure. I just didn't do it. Now I have to reassess and reassess why. And we'll talk about that at the end of every week. Well, why didn't we reach this goal? What do we need to change? Was it a goal that was attainable? Maybe not this time. We don't know, but regardless, set the goal. Set the goal. All right, from there, you're narrowing your focus, and it's going to be on day-to-day activity. So instead of thinking, I can't eat what I want for the next 3 weeks, you're going to say, today, this is what I'm eating. You're not focusing on your deficit or what you can't get, but you are focusing on the positive. I am investing in myself because I want that 5 pounds gone. I want that 5 pounds gone. I want it off because I will feel better in my clothes. I won't feel like my shorts are digging into my waistline. I will be able to move more. I'll be able to run around with my kids and not be out of breath. Whatever it is, you need to know why. Why do I want this? And then you have to narrow that focus there. Put your blinders on. I want sugar and I want cupcakes. Why though? Why would you want that? And so when that happens, you're going to use the 5-second rule. Bullet point number 2. So number one is set your goal, break it in half, which is narrowing your focus. Number 2 is using the 5-second rule. So when you don't want to do something, like get out of bed to go do that workout early, like get off the couch to go wash the dishes, like whatever it is, you're going to start counting down from 5. Like, I have to go do the dishes after this, and instead I'd rather scroll on Facebook. But I'm going to say, okay, I need to, you come to this decision-making path, right? So when you come to that path, you can go wash the dishes, which is the positive path, or sit here and scroll on Facebook, the negative path. This isn't going to do anything for my life. This is getting things off my to-do list. Maybe for you, it's I have to go work out, or I could sit here. I have to go prep my food, or I could just go through the drive-thru. You now have to make this decision, and you're going to count back from 5. Before you hit 1, this is the 5-second rule, before you hit number 1, right, you're going to choose to do the right thing. You're going to choose to get out of bed because you're already awake. You're going to choose to get off the couch because you've already taken the time to think about it. You could already be doing it. You could already be moving. This is going to blow your mind. What happens is, and this is science, right? This isn't just some magic mumbo jumbo. I put it out into the world and shit happens to me, right? That's not the way it works. It's based off of your decisions and what you do. 5-second rule awakens your prefrontal cortex and is like, okay, I'm triggering the thing that I know what Shayna said. I'm committed to my group, and it goes back to your emotion, your why, right? You're not a child. Can we all agree on this? You're not a child. Children want cake for breakfast. You say no. Why do you say no? Because you know that they need nutrients, that's not going to serve them well. So why is it that you eat cake when you shouldn't be, when you're trying to get to a specific goal? You're not a child. Let go of childlike behavior, right? We'll talk about this more. So what happens? The child throws a fit. You count back 5. I'm going to count to 3, and by the time I hit 3, you better be moving. You better go clean your room, whatever it is, right? You're not a child. So you're going to count back from 5. It's going to awaken your prefrontal cortex, and you're going to think of your emotional why as to why you want that goal, right? You're letting go of vulnerability and security, and you're going to do it. So the reason, right, dieting is super simple. And the 5-second rule actually awakens that prefrontal cortex, right? And it will trigger you to do it. I swear to God, just try it. Seriously, try it on anything. And just in your head, count back from 5. The thing is dieting is super simple. It is. I just have to follow the Shift Shop program. I already have my groceries and my meals, and I do it. I have a plan. Okay, that's the simple part. The reason why you get off of it, or you don't do it, or you fail, quote unquote, is because of how you feel. And that leads to our third bullet point, is assessment. If I feel tired, that's usually when I grab potato chips or M&Ms. Instead, I'm going to count back from 5, and I'm going to then stand, get up, and get a drink of water. This is what we talked about yesterday. If this, then that. If this, then that. If I whatever your if this, then that. That's your trigger of why you go off, the emotional trigger of why you go off your goal, right? Of why you get off track of whatever it is. But now that you've identified that emotion, you've already identified it. If you get frustrated, or someone says something mean to you, or if you get triggered by the way girls look on Instagram, then I'm going to stop, look at my goals, look into my challenge tracker app, and write out how I'm feeling. Whatever it is for you, you need to identify that if this, then that. It's called if-then planning. We talked about it yesterday. So if you didn't do that, which I think only 3 of you actually wrote it down in the group, right? So kudos to, I know it was Lisa, Krista, and it was someone else. If you haven't identified that, you're going to miss out on the rest of this group. You're never gonna face your fears of your emotions, which what we've all decided was vulnerability and insecurity. So whatever is going on in your life, identify it now, and that's what's going to get you to your goal. Mindfuck, isn't it? I know. But if you can't face those feelings and those emotions, you're never going to get to where it is that you want, and you're sabotaging yourself. So, narrow your focus on your goals. Do it now. Close the gap, right? Because you know that I'm just recapping this video. You know how big that gap is. You now have to narrow it so that you don't feel overwhelmed, right? Use the 5-second rule because it actually works. It's science, right? And I'm going to awaken my prefrontal cortex. As soon as we feel that emotion, we're going to use that 5-second rule. And number 3, the assessment. If this, then that. Dieting simple. So why do I go off of it? If this, then I'm going to do that. Have a plan. Have a plan. So below in the comments, I want you to rewrite your if this, then that, and then your narrow focused goal for this group. What is your narrow focused goal for this group? Put that in the comments below.